My name is Thelma Takia. Top story for this hour. Over the next 5 days, beginning later today, the government will be engaging officials of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to pitch ideas aimed at seeking help for Ghana's struggling economy. Earlier today on GTV Breakfast, I sat with Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah to ask questions about what proposals government will pitch at the crunch talks, and he told us those conversations could last about 6 months and an IMF bailout program could be 3 or 4 years duration.
The very first part of the discussion is on data sharing. Yes, they have a country office because Ghana has been a member of the IMF since 1957. And so they have an office in Ghana that's always looking at our, data. But now that you are formally engaging on the possibility of a balance of payment support program, they will need to sit with you and validate all the data that you are putting on the table. It is when the validation is done that we will know the form in which the program should come. Would it be a standby facility? Would it be an extended credit facility? Would it be a 3-year, 4-year program or whatnot? The data is what will determine the kind of program that we will get in the end. But why have we gone in the past 17 times, actually, and are actually probably going to go for an 18th program? The major reason for which Ghana has accessed fund programs in times past, the major reason is that the Ghanaian economy has its own challenges. And sometimes when crisis hits, the Ghanaian economy on its own struggles to respond to the crisis fully. There are times when that crisis is internally induced. There are times when that crisis is externally induced. We succeeded in getting growth up, inflation down, interest rates down, and the economy was doing better. When we were hit in 2020 with the first crisis, COVID, we had to resort to a lot of the internal buffers and reserves that we had built to respond. By 2021, Ghana started rising again, growth of about 5.4%, inflation coming down again, interest rates stabilizing. And then in February, we were hit again with this external crisis, which is bringing a lot more hardship. Today, unions are calling for COLA. Everybody is having a feel of the global challenges that are hitting home locally. Programs vary. You could get between a year and 4 years. So the type of program you negotiate may be somewhere between a 1-year and a 4-year program.
And on the heels of previous comments made by other government officials on Ghana not going back to the IMF for a bailout, I put a question to the Information Minister, and he explained to us what went into government's decision to take that final step to ask for help from the IMF. Or to even arrive at that decision.
I didn't get the sense that the decision was difficult for the president to make. The discussion, of course, will have people with various views. And you've heard those publicly who've said that, no, that's not the way to go. We can wait for the domestic measures to ramp up. And then there are those who will make the argument that, but while you are waiting for the domestic measures to ramp up, people are hurting, and you could go into a deeper economic challenge, a full-blown economic challenge, if you don't find a way to get some buffers out there. So people, different advisors and different analysts made their case. But I didn't get the sense that the decision was difficult for the president to make. I get the impression that he would have wished that our domestic measures would have reached optimal level by now, but we are not there yet, and we cannot wait, and that decision has to be made, and the president went ahead to make that decision. This honest assessment is the fact that there are a number of pillars that got us here. Predominant among those pillars is the fact that there's a global economic crisis, and that global economic crisis is putting a lot of people around the world in difficulty.
That would be COVID and then Russia and Ukraine.
This global crisis is pinching back home and is making life difficult.
GBC News will be monitoring events at that meeting and will keep you updated on the business side as and when any developments come up for sharing. We move on to other parts of the country, and the family of Victor Kwadwo have rejected a police autopsy report indicating the cause of death of their son. The report says the cause of death is a severe head injury and there was also an underlying brain tumor. The Nkranza Municipal Police Command claims that Albert Donko was an armed robber who died in an exchange of fire with them. Our Bono East Regional Correspondent Samuel Ayama is currently with the family and is ready to share some details with us. Samuel.
Thank you very much, Thelma. Since the incident happened, that is on the 17th of May 2022, CAM has since returned to Nkranza town, but the latest development we have here has to do with the rejection of the autopsy report on Victor Kwadwo and other matters. With me here is Mr. Apia Kubi. He is a brother to the late Kwadwo. Tell us what happened about the report. Why is the family rejecting the police report?
All right, the family is rejecting the police report because of the lies that the police are telling us. First, they are telling us Victor Kwadwo did not die by a gunshot. He was felled and died and having a brain tumor. This is not true, it's lie. And they stated on their report that Kwadwo was having a severe head injury. So the family is asking, what caused the severe head injury? We want to know, one. And we have witnesses around. The time the guy was shot, there are people around, they saw it themselves. Why are they telling us? Because of brain tumor, that is why Kwadwo died. So we are not accepting it, and we are going for a second opinion.
So what are you asking for now? Are you asking for an independent body to investigate the matter, or what are you doing?
Yes, this is what we are asking for. We want an independent body to investigate this matter, because the police cannot do it well, because they have shot my junior brother, and they can't do it and do it well as the family wants. So we want an independent body to investigate this issue.
Okay. So finally, what should the public be expecting from you or your family that Victor Kwadwo's issue?
For now, we are going for a second postmortem, an independent postmortem from our own. So we are going to do it from today, maybe to maybe next 2 weeks. We'll bring out different reports. We believe it will be different reports from what the police have got right now.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I also have with me here the uncle to Albert Donko. He has just been allowed to I was just been given the opportunity to assess Albert's body. Tell us, Mr. Donyina, Ukumu Albert's body, no? Again, Abusian person we had the found.
Me kosha Albert body no. Na many anye home because akola no me hu say Max bi woni koma. Me layman no me hu say bi e hangi no ansa na yeku. Enti no family no police for no pressure ye say ye meye autopsy na yes am delay investigation but me nye sa autopsy no abra police commander na ma command me be che Albert. And the police force says Ebechi Albert Yanchino, Yanchi Bakukra, Yanchi police commander. Police inform me no a charge of the actual statement, Yanchi Bakukra. In the choir autopsy for what? Police inform me as a Mosemo Albert Kobabina, Nukosia robbery in a Tuakano there. No, you have autopsy in your day. A granda den a Mobachino. And a Mama Kokuno Namupe, Bidia Fase, Mukon a Tuakan. Ain't you know? Me say me who say hachi sankro for make kaya. Me nya autopsy bia. Me who ya me nya. And yes, 10 years for police be for body no.
Enti na yes see no a police force fair or say bra be body no. Na after that trauma your autopsy na body na wo find sisi a.
Body no Accra police hospital makohwe. Because the new na make say as ye touchy Accra nti no nam na ye aswallow sa na ye black. And an come so mark bi the autopsy obi a hanging on.
Okay. For now, this morning we also the Local Council of Churches in Nkranza issued a communique in relation to the alleged killing of Albert Donko. And then currently with me here is Reverend Osei Techi. He is the chair of the Ghana Pentecostal Churches here in Nkranza. Give us a summary of your communique this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think something is going wrong somewhere. And as ministers and as men of God, we can't keep silent, because each of these boys who were shot, I think they belong to one church or the other. So as a church body, we have to also speak. And we are calling on the IGP, number one, to let justice prevail. Go through it, let them have independent investigation. If the police will investigate, fine, we don't have any problem. But we want an independent body to do the investigation. Two, we want the municipal commander, the district commander, and then the regional commander to be interdicted, so that if really they want to pursue the matter to the exact conclusion, these people must be interdicted, because we know, according to the service, they work according to commands. So the regional commands, the municipal commander, the divisional commander must be held responsible. And if any good investigation could be taking place, then I think they must be interdicted. Then I think there's a vacuum in Nkranza now. Why? Because all the police personnel in town has been withdrawn. So we wish the IGP will install the personnel so that at least there will not be any vacuum as far as criminal activities are concerned. So we want the IGP, as a matter of urgency, to install all the policemen who have been transferred one way or the other from Nkranza Township, so that at least there will be peace in Nkranza.
So your communique, are you also giving a copy to the regional minister or the IGP?
Sure. Already, I think we've sent copies to them. If not, we are going to repeat it. We send it to all these people, so that at least they can also feel our feelings and get into our shoes, so that they know that Nkranza is suffering. So we want Nkranza to be calm and to be peaceful as it used to be. So that's what we are calling for the IGP, the regional police command, the divisional police command, the municipal police command to act swiftly so that justice is prevailed in this matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I have been speaking with Reverend Osei Techi Andrew. He's the Nkranza Association of Pentecostal and Charismatic Church chairperson. And we have the details of what they have in their communique, and we'll be sharing that with our charity viewers in our subsequent bulletin. For now, I'm Samuel Ayama, Nkranza.
The family for us. Let justice prevail is a call on the IGP and the police command following the family's claim of rejection of the autopsy report of Victor Owusu, who police says was killed in an exchange of fire after he was accused of being an armed robber. The family refuted claims of the autopsy that the boy had a brain tumor, and they are asking the police how he got the head injury, if indeed that's what the autopsy said. They are also asking the police to question its own officers who have been named in that matter so that they can get some answers. They are also asking for the vacuum in the security system to be plugged, as the police officers who were initially at station were asked to vacate their post, and so they are saying that that is a security threat and the need for officers to be returned to keep peace in the township. And as Samuel said, we'll keep you updated on further developments. This is GBC News. A public health report has shown that 33 to 37% of women in Ghana have experienced intimate partner violence in the course of their relationships. These include physical, sexual and emotional violence. Further, 14% of schoolgirls have been victims of sexual abuse and 52% have experienced gender-based violence. To stem this tide of human rights violations, Action Aid Ghana and the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA Ghana, have launched a project dubbed Transformative Action for Gender Equality to address the prevalence of violence against women and girls.
That gender-based violence and intimate partner-based violence increased during the COVID-19 lockdown at both the international and national levels. From April 2021 to January 2022, Over 30 media reports of intimate partner violence were recorded in different parts of the country. The victims have always been women and girls, including those with disabilities. However, the lack of legal support, limited resources, fear of retribution, unfair justice system and social norms have often discouraged women and girls from reporting or pursuing crimes against them. The practice also violates the rights of women and girls. At the launch of Transformative Action for Gender Equality, the Executive Director of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA Ghana, Mrs. Susan Aite, spoke about the challenges facing key institutions in discharging their duties to help curb the menace.
It's a critical issue that we have been talking about. I think it's about high time that the government is able to resource the domestic violence fund so that we will be able to, provide women with some funding to help them meet needs that may, arise as a result of unplanned pregnancies due to maybe defilement or rape.
The Transformative Action for Gender Equality project is being implemented in 4 regions, 8 districts and 64 communities across the country. According to the project manager of the Transformative Action for Gender Equality program, Mercy Tufor, interventions under the project are expected to directly reach about 2.8 million people.
It's going to be done within a 30-month period, and we are working with women and girls to empower them to understand or to know their rights and also to defend themselves when abusive acts are perpetrated against them.
The Trade Councillor of the European Union delegation to Ghana, Mr. Rafael Kwato, said the European Union is committed to support the promotion of gender equality and women's empowerment. The project was fully funded by the European Union.
The effort to make the tourism sector a key driver of Ghana's economic development and prosperity is back on track starting today, July 6, 2022. This comes on the heels of the unveiling of the $10 million tourism SME grant under the Ghana Tourism Development Project by President Akufo-Addo in Accra.
In this direction that the government, through the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, is in this year supporting SMEs in the tourism, hospitality, and creative arts sector with a grant of $10 million United States dollars to enhance and expand their businesses. The grants will assist operators in the sector modernize and improve tourist sites, restaurants, tour operations, event organization, and related businesses to become attractive and competitive. The grants are in 3 categories, namely COVID relief support, SME support, and site upgrade. These are intended to help transform the tourism sector, to stimulate economic growth and create jobs. It is expected that 1,500 SMEs will benefit from the grant support.
Staying a while longer with the Commander-in-Chief, Metro Mass Transport has received 45 new buses to augment its fleet to provide safe, reliable and affordable transport service to the public. Handing over the buses to the Metro Mass Transport Management in Accra, President Akufo-Addo said 55 more buses are expected in the country by the end of the year.
This project is being implemented in phases, with the first phase covering the purchase of a total of 100 buses, and after-sales service support and sufficient spare parts to restore some 50 broken-down buses. So we will have 150 out of this first stage at the end. In addition to this, technical assistance in the form of a grant from the Belgian government is also being provided to cover training of drivers and maintenance staff and operational support to the company.
More details on the tourism sector support grant and also the Metro Mass buses in our subsequent bulletin at 7 p.m. and online at gbcghanaonline.com. And moving on to other stories, since Ghana passed its Right to Information law in 2019, key interest groups have engaged in a number of strategies to ensure the uptake of citizens' rights and access to information. Despite the passage of the Right to Information law in Ghana, of administrative and bureaucratic bottlenecks coupled with the imposition of fees by public institutions and a seeming lack of awareness among the citizens of the law and their rights to demand for information are among a host of challenges impeding access to public information and the effective implementation of the law. Madam Eunice Agbenyaji, Programs Manager at Star Ghana Foundation, joins us on phone for a review of where we are so far. Good afternoon, Madam. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Now, since 2019, when the law was passed, there's been a couple of years or three where we would have expected to have data on how many requests have come in for an RTI from an organization. Are you able to share any details of such statistics with us?
Yes, thank you very much. So the implementation of the law began from 2020. And so for 2020, overall, there were 13 requests received by public institutions. In 2021, there were 247 requests received. And then from January up to July 2022, there's been 224 requests received by public institutions, and this requests are, individual institutions requesting for some particular information as required by the law.
What can you tell us about the kind of reception that organizations have given to those who have requested for that information, and how quickly have those pieces of information been released?
There has been a mixed performance, in terms of access to information, to the points that are made and the information that is provided. And some of the challenges around the reasons why institutions are not responding to the requests that come to them includes the information being requested as falling under the event category, and we have 13 categories for events. But also that then the information being requested was also not in the custody of public institutions. We have only a few institutions as required by the law who have in place information officers. And the information officers are those responsible for giving out information. And so in institutions where there are no information officers, there are delays or the information is not accessible. But the law also requires that institutions should take steps, to recruit or designate other officials, in the interim in that position. And so the absence of information officers, the unwillingness of institutions to provide information are some of the challenges that contribute to the delay in the response or the non-availability of information that is requested.
Then I would ask the question, 2 years on, why have there not been more efforts to put these officers in office? And could that be why they are asking for people to pay as a way of delaying the process until they get their stuff together to send when the requests are made?
Yeah. So we need to separate the technical factors from the political factors. We have come from a regime where public institutions have thrived on information secrecy. And so it is important that people reorient themselves, people in public institutions reorient themselves in alignment with this law to provide information when there's request. But also that not only when there's request, the law requires that there should be proactive disclosure. So before even the request, you as an institution should take a step to disclose information to citizens. Then there's also the technical part, which has to do with, the absence of information officers. And I know that the Ministry of Information has been supporting through capacity building for public institutions, to play this function whilst waiting for permanent staff that would fill those positions. But let me also add quickly that it's important to empower citizens to engage the law. And what do I mean by this? The citizens should be interested in testing the law. We know the effectiveness of the law only when there are requests. So it's only when you make a request that this institution is complying or not complying. And so until we have requests, from citizens, we are not able to test effectively the implementation of the law.
Whilst there is a right to information, there's some bits that the public cannot ask for, and we are told that the law addresses this as well. What information can we not ask for using the RTI?
I think the information that is useful to citizens, or institutions, and enables them to engage duty bearers, to engage policy access around government business to promote.
Had further time, I would have asked for whether we've achieved our goal of transparency in the whole journey of right to information, but that's all time would allow us. Madam Eunice Agbenyaji is a programs manager at Star Ghana Foundation. She's been talking to us about the progress so far on Ghana's implementation of the RTI law. It's still News Hour live on GBC News. Other stories from the Ashanti region now. Government is systematically developing gold mining champions after the South African model towards indigenous ownership of the Ghana's mining sector. The agenda is being pursued through the community mining scheme reserved only for Ghanaians. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources responsible for mining, Mr. George Mrikuduka, made this known in the Ashanti region when he inaugurated the Adam Kwame community mining scheme at the Etrima Nwabieja South Municipality.
Etrima Nwabieja South Municipality is one of the administrative districts in the Ashanti region hard hit by the illegal gold mining menace, also known as Galamsey. The problem is so pervasive that large tracts of farmlands have been forcibly seized and destroyed by these miners. Recently, the Municipal Assembly recorded a trapping to death of 2 illegal miners who were prospecting for gold underground. The setting aside of a 500-acre land at Adankwame near Ekropon for a community mining scheme is expected to change the tide. The Adankwame community mining scheme has also been introduced to the modern gold extracting machine known as Gold Catcher, recently imported by the government to provide mercury-free gold extraction at optimal success rates of about 95%. Experts will also provide technical support to the miners. The Etrima Nwabieja Municipal Chief Executive, Mr. Michael Amwa Ewuku, disclosed that illegal gold miners have now devised new means of searching for gold using a portable device to evade authorities.
Excavator and I'm Akasia, the news and yes, I mind Ubukura, some small devices here, and no, and in Namosa, and the people can say, I shall. It's to see, yes. South for Lucas, our much of one, who by a day, we know.
The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources responsible for mining, Mr. George Mrikuduka, said the government is using the community mining scheme as a catalyst towards developing indigenous mining champions to eventually take over the mining sector in the country.
Yes, building local champions within the industry. Ghana for so Brony friend ownership. Say Ghana for so be only concessions. Now a buying to me aboamo at the machines. Aboamo.
Mr. Duka later inaugurated 17 other community mining schemes in the Ashanti region. They are to regulate the various community mining schemes in their jurisdictions to protect the natural environment, including water bodies from destruction.
The government has signed a $1.6 million contract with Mercer's First Sky Group to rehabilitate the Dome-Ketase Road, spanning two regions, Greater Accra and Eastern. When complete, the alternative route will enhance the socio-economic activities within the two regions and improve the urban mobility system towards attaining the Sustainable Development Goal 11. Clara Mlano reports.
The agenda is to build a sustainable, accessible, inclusive and efficient road network for Ghana. The 23-kilometer Dome-Ketase Rehabilitation Road project starts at the Dome Runabout in the Greater Accra region to Ketase in the Eastern region. The joint-funded project from the Kuwaiti Fund for Arab Economic Development and the Government of Ghana has a contract duration of 24 months. While urging them to work with expected speed, the Minister for Roads and Highways, Mr. Kwesi Amoakwata, also called for quality work to ensure value for money while solidifying the economic integration of the two regions.
Everybody is happy about it, that this facility is going to be undertaken by a local contractor. The First Sky Group is a leading road construction company in our country, and we do not have any doubt in our mind that the company is going to execute this project with all the competence and the efficiency that the company has acquired over the years, and it's going to be a shining example for all local contractors in our country.
Contractor First Sky Group is to begin mobilization and move to site on July 7, awaiting the official sword cutting by the Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, for work to take off at the end of July 2022. For GBC News, Clara Mlano reporting.
From Dom, let's drive down to the lawmaking house and a follow-up by the former road collectors. The Ghana Toll Workers Union on Thursday was at Parliament House to ask questions about concerns they raised, which they say are yet to be addressed by the government. With another petition which was received on behalf of the Speaker of Parliament, the Deputy Minority and Deputy Majority Whips assured the aggrieved toll workers that their concerns are still being discussed and will soon be addressed.
The union's membership marched to Parliament House to demand their reassignment and payment of 6 months of salary arrears as promised by government. This is the second time the union has petitioned the legislature over their being laid off. In November 2021, over 600 workers were disengaged following a directive by government to suspend the collection of tolls on roads and bridges across the country. The government then promised to pay affected workers until they are reassigned. However, these workers say they were only paid 2 months' salary, that is November and December. They say this petition has become necessary because their concerns are yet to be addressed by the government. At Parliament House, they held placards that clearly communicated their message.
authorities should sit down, especially with us who work at the toll plaza, because we know firsthand of the problems that are associated with the toll, so that if you want to help in reducing whatever negativity that the tolls or whatever is happening around the toll, you want to mitigate it, you involve us, we'll give you solutions, practical solutions, not good solutions, we'll give you practical solutions. So what we are saying in our petition now is that we were promised that the toll collection will be scrapped and then we'll be given alternate livelihoods. We have been sitting home from November last year. Till now, we have not been given any alternate livelihood. And another promise was given to us that we will be paid every month until we are reassigned. Please fulfill your promise.
Their petition was received by the Deputy Minority and Deputy Majority Whips.
You need broader consultation. And I believe if the persons with disabilities were consulted before the cancellation of the toll booths, we wouldn't have been where we are. So you brought it for the first time, you come for the second time. We will not sit and be waiting for the third time.
I appreciate the fact that you did not hit the street to address it, but you decided to bring it to the right quarters. Your concerns, I would say, are genuine, and we will do whatever it takes to ensure that they are addressed.
A few days ago, the Ghana Toll Workers Union petitioned the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, on the same issue.
If you're on social media, you may have come across this next subject we are about to discuss. You may have seen that viral video in circulation on portals about some Ghana cars allegedly left to rot at the NIA office in Sotum in Accra. And more public institutions now require citizens to present their Ghana card, but some who registered years ago still do not have the cards delivered to them. And we've been joined by the head of corporate affairs of the NIA, Dr. Abdul Ganiyu, with some answers. Good afternoon, Doc.
Yes, good afternoon.
We've seen the video and we only have one question. Is it true, and what are we doing about it?
Yes, it is simply not true. The narration that has come with the video is absolutely not true. It's completely unfounded.
So the video is not authentic, is what you're saying?
The video is authentic, but it is the interpretation that has been given to it.
Clarify it for us.
And that is what the statement that was issued yesterday seeks to clarify. So these are cards that were printed since 2008. Some of them were printed after 2008, but all of that within the period 2008 to 2014. And I'm sure Ghanaians are familiar with the registration for the Ghana card that took place around that period. And the cards that were printed at the time were 2D barcode cards. That is completely different from the type of cards that are being printed today. And for cards that were printed in 2008, by 2018, they would have expired, they would have outlived their lifespan, and that meant that these cards are no more useful. And on the basis of that, a board of survey conducted their audits, and they have declared them no more effective, and rather they have to be shredded, they have to be discarded. So it's unfortunate that somebody simply took a picture and a video, shared it on social media, and created the kind of impression that was put out there. So that's
follow up with just one more question.
We debunked yesterday by virtue of the statement.
I'll ask you one more question then, Abudu. What's the process to dispose of these cards, since they contain sensitive information about persons whose data must be protected?
Yes, so it follows a process. An audit is conducted, and the audit declares that, you know what, these cards are no more useful. And that audit will provide a clear process, clear procedure on how they should be destroyed. So we have a report to that effect. And from where we sit, we are putting the necessary plans in place to ensure that these cards are properly done away with. But we've also gone on to assure people that whatever data that we have in our custody in respect of the smart identity cards that we have been issuing. That data is secured, the data is safe, and all cards that we have printed waiting to be issued are properly boxed, they are badged and kept at the respective regional and district offices waiting to be issued.
Thank you, Abudu, for the clarification. Head of Corporate Affairs of the NIA, Dr. Abudu Abdul Ganiyu, setting the record straight on the video circulating on social media portals showing some Ghana cards left to rot at an office in Sotum. He's saying these were old cards printed between 2008 to 2014, and those are currently out of circulation and will be disposed of appropriately in time. It's still News Hour live on GBC News. More news on our website, gbcghanaonline.com, and we're streaming on Facebook, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Like and share, follow our pages for more authentic news. We'll take a quick break. When we return, business will take its turn after that. On the business side, the IMF says its engagement with Ghana for a balance of payment support will be centered on the homegrown program put together by the government. What would constitute those homegrown solutions to our current situation, and what is government expected to put before the IMF? We've been joined by Professor Peter Quartey, Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research. Prof. Quartey, good afternoon and welcome.
Yeah, I'm Eric Uchi for the economist, so I'm not here as a professor.
Well noted. Perhaps I envisage a promotion coming down the line for you. Thank you so much for joining us. I just want to ask your opinions of what government has in hand to put on the table, because a lot of conversations are going around about conditionalities. The IMF says it does not issue conditionalities. It asks for the government to propose its own policies, which it then supports. So what do we have in our bag?
All right, thank you very much for this great opportunity. Yes, first of all, you must first look at the core mandate of the IMF. And we know that the IMF, their core mandate is the international monetary sustainability. So the government needs to make sure that whatever that they are bringing on board is going in hand with what the core mandate of the IMF is all about. So firstly, I know the government is going to defend its employment level due to the economic hardship situation, the cost of living and inflation, and to looking at also education and also the financial sector. I believe these are some of the things that the government is going to put it up on board.
The information minister who sat with us this morning made mention of an addition of property rates as part of its proposals that it will put forward to the government. Do you think that would be viable? Can we leverage on property rates?
Yes, it's very, very important. If you realize that I once did an interview with one of your hosts, Bishop Nyako, and I did mention that with the research that some of us did in Ghana, even only at the airport residential area, Ghana can raise about $1 billion. Because if you're looking at the properties out there, that an apartment of about 2 bedrooms is picking about $4,000 a month. So approximately, if you look at the property over there, and we did valuation by using the international standard by the Fitch Solution, the Fold, the Moody, and then the Standard & Poor to do property valuation of us. And we do integrate it by the GRE. I believe that Ghana is going to get set amount rather than even going to the E-levy, which has brought this result to Ghana.
Eric, the cuts really are where the concerns are they not? Because the fear is that government would be compelled to cut on some of its expenditures, which could affect crucial government programs such as free SHS, such as Agenda 111. And so people are asking, how are these programs likely to be captured in this drive with the IMF?
Very good question. Earlier on, I did say that the core mandate of the IMF is the international monetary system sustainability. So that's therefore it means that you government, you have exceeded your threshold. You have a fiscal deficit. So therefore they need to control your expenditure. So where I'm looking at it now is it will automatically affect education, and then free SHS, that's what I'm talking about. And then we're also talking about the nursing allowances, the teacher allowances. It's also going to affect it. And other government programs and policies like the NAPCO, the food and afforestation, and so many other interventions programs that the government has embarked on. Because we should know that IMF is not about poverty eradication, but they are for monetary international system sustainability.
The government insists that everybody is demanding a piece of the national cake. Teachers want COLA. People want better conditions of service, and they are saying we should be prepared to make sacrifices. Do you envisage that new taxes may be slapped on the Ghanaian worker?
Yes, exactly so. Because you have a fiscal deficit and you need to create a surplus. And how do you create a surplus? You need to do something, put certain things in place in order to increase the revenue of Ghana. Because Ghana, as of now, our debt that we are even providing on now is about 18 billion Ghana that we are talking about. The budget that we are even designating on 2022 was 137 billion. And the revenue that we budgeted for was 105 billion. And the e-levy couldn't sustain. So it tells that we have a huge deficit. So for the government to equalize it at its equilibrium point, therefore, they need to introduce minimum taxes in order to do the equation. So I think it's hard time that the country needs to come together and also help and fight this battle, because it's all our fight, it's all our battle.
The budget deficit that you referred to, which was 37 billion in the just passed budget that was read to us, it tells us that apart from the e-levy, which was proposed to give us 7 billion, there was a 30 billion, 10 of which we were going to source from outside. Now we have a 20 billion deficit. Where are we going to raise the money if we are being told that we are likely to get between 3 to 3.5 billion from the IMF program?
Yes, a very, very good question. So this is the time now for the government to set up a very and well strategic investment portfolio, technocrats who are well endowed and truly understand the phenomenon of this global system, how it really relates and how it really goes. First of all, as you ask the question, we need to target the property rates. Government needs to put certain structures and systems in order to raise revenue. Government can come in with what we call a diaspora bond, that is homegrown bond, but not an external debt. Three, government needs to reform the Ghana Stock Exchange in order to control inflation and also to control prices. Other than that, I'm sorry, this country, we cannot move as we are thinking of.
Would rest the matter here for now. I'm sure we'll engage you further for further clarity as the crunch talks continue with the IMF team. Eric Chebafo is an economist. He's been sharing his thoughts on what Ghana's prospects are going to the negotiating table with the IMF. He's suggesting that we may have to pay more taxes, or government may have to introduce more taxes if we want to show up really the local revenue mobilization efforts. And it remains to be seen how those conversations begin and end when the government sits down with the IMF later today. And we'll now look at the interbank and commodity rates for the day.